We've got a pre-need question here. And what types of community outreach are most successful for pre-need counselors? First of all, presentations, I think, are a great way. And again, people are kind of fading. People are getting focused on trying to do everything online, like especially on social media. And I think it's a great supplement and it's a good part of your marketing strategy, but it's not the whole core. If you're the only one in your area that's going around and making presentations, you're going to be seen as the expert in your area. But again, not just focusing on the benefits of pre-planning, but of, ones of public interest. So one that would have been great to do this past year would have been something on the Titanic, the 100th anniversary of the sinking of the Titanic, and how, Van Beck, you can actually put this up on YouTube for Todd. He did a great presentation on the sinking of the Titanic and how the funeral directors on the, Northeast coast looked after everyone and what they had to do. And so if you search for Todd Van Beck Titanic on YouTube, you'll find it. It's 45 minutes or so. So, just things of public interest in your area, or again, go to your local hospice and ask them, maybe talk to some of the workers there. What are the biggest questions about funerals and cremation? And if they gave you just 5, say, okay, well, I'll come back and I'll answer those, even though you could probably answer them off the top of your head right there. So that is, that's another strategy. Focus on specific groups, again, that you can then make it a bit more personalized to them. And then make sure that you have a follow-up system. And now this might sound a little too techy, but I think that this would work great. I was speaking at the ICCFA University this year and to the sales group with Gary O'Sullivan. And this was someone asked me, and this is I think a great suggestion of how to follow up with people. So we go do our presentation on whatever it was, Cicely Saunders, the founder of Hospice, and then we say, to fill out our little evaluation form, and maybe you have a little drawing or something. And then, this is going to sound familiar. What's the one biggest question you have about funerals and cremation? Because I said, what's your one biggest question that you have about marketing for your funeral home for today's seminar? And so you can, gather that information from them and then offer to have, now, if this is at a nursing home, it may not work. But if you're at a church group or something, say at the end, fill out the form, and we're going to have a follow-up webinar on some of these questions that you've asked, because I haven't been able to do that, because we ran out of time. And it was funny because someone in Memphis there at the ICCFA University asked me, well, what's the stats on seniors attending webinars? I don't know. But I did just very brief research on it, just a Google search. Finds out that the AARP offers webinars all the time. So if they're doing it, whether we like them or not, their target audience is our target audience. So if they can handle it, their group, our groups of people should be able to handle it. So it's just another way of kind of walking them through, down the funnel a little bit more. And if you've been in the practice of handing out the planning guides, those can sometimes be overwhelming. And so you can say, well, we're going to have just this little webinar on how to fill that out and go through that. And I can remember in one of my pre-need presentations that I had a short form, and I just walked them through how to make a pre-arrangement. And so they all had a sheet, like kind of not with a clipboard, but they had the one form. And I said, look, I'm going to fill mine out, and then I'm going to give you time to fill yours out. And I'd always make like little jokes about mine, like, I was born in Victoria. Not too many of us are born in Victoria, and kind of laugh about it. And then I'd say, now, how many people are born here in Victoria? Because it's, we're in a retirement center here. And the 3 or 4 out of the 50 people that were there are so proud of it. And and then you just kind of go along and occupation. Well, you're not going to write down funeral director, but that's what I'll write down here. You write down what you need, and you kind of joke around, and maybe like, who's got the oddest profession here, and just have this little back and forth. Now it was very, we got more information forms filled out in that planning session than any other one that we did. And that's a great idea just to do in maybe say, if you talk to the church, say, look, we'll do 4 over the course of the year, and we'll do it on these different topics, and then we'll but maybe one of them I'll just walk them through, and they don't have to hand in the form if they don't want to. So maybe taking that a little more advanced to using technology here, on a follow-up, and you can do this with all of your presentations, is then say, look, we have this webinar and we're going to answer some of your questions, and we're going to actually walk you through how to fill out the guide. Because empty guide is absolutely useless, and we've been guilty of distributing millions of them throughout North America, and that are just sitting in boxes or filing cabinets, or maybe even in the freezer. I'm sure some of you pre-need people out there know that some people, I keep all that stuff in the freezer because if the house burns down, that's the last thing to go. And just walk them through the process. So that would be a way of, you've done your live presentation, then talk to them about hey, we're going to have this follow-up, we're going to answer some questions, and we're going to do it on a webinar. So if you haven't done that, it's kind of a neat thing. You can just sit at the comfort of your own home and watch and listen, and we'll show you how to fill this out.